Hey, welcome back, everybody. HSC Podcast 28. Of course, on the mic, Big Box Steve, Derek, Big Smooth, and Fresh Wes. So, kind of a big end of the August, right? We got college football starting. We're getting ready for NFL to start. I think for a lot of people, it's some people's favorite time of year, obviously, but you also get like your average fans that don't think about football all year, kind of get excited around this time too, right? Just because once that Super Bowl ends, it's like, man, you got this big, long period of time until we can really get back into football, especially college football. I think people kind of forget about that most of the year. And so today we're going to talk a little college football, talk a little bit about NFL, the divisions. We'll get ready for next week. We'll do our predictions on playoff predictions, kind of see how we did compared to last year. We didn't do too bad last year, so our predictions this year, we'll see how close they are. And then, of course, we'll do our playoff podcast and playoff start. So real quick, before we jump into sports real quick, since we're going to talk college football, I did want to get your guys' thoughts on the student loan, basically forgiveness that's happening right now. So they're forgiving student loans for people who make under a certain amount, up to $20,000 if they had a certain type of loan, which is a lot of people, or a grant or whatever. So how do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about, I think something gonna be something like $400 billion that, basically forgiving. Obviously, that's money that could go back into the economy. It's tax money. It's, that's the complaint, right? So you got people on one side upset. You got people on the other side happy about it. How do you guys feel about that? None of us have student loans, right? So it doesn't directly affect us, except going that money, where's that money could have been spent, is being spent, how much of that comes out of taxes. So any thoughts?
Well, it's a tough one. I haven't really because I want to know where, because the money is going to have to come from somewhere. How are they going to get the money? Because the colleges are still going to need to get paid. The loans, they need to get paid off. So where is all this money coming from? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I guess the question is, because a lot of these loans, they're federal loans, right? So they're just decreasing the loan. So technically, I guess they're not getting the money they would have been getting from these being paid off. But it equals, like I said, about $400 billion when it's all said and done. And so that would be an extra $400 billion that could go back into other programs.
Well, though, I guess if it's not like in our taxes or anything, I guess the whole saying would be, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? You can't, it's like, what? Good for these people, I guess. I mean, would have been nice when we were younger if we knew, well, hey, we could go to college and have a bunch of debt and then get it paid for.
Right.
Because lots of people didn't go to college because they knew they couldn't afford it.
Well, and you got a lot of people right now who did pay off their student loans or are saying stuff like, hey, where's my 20 grand back?
Right. Well, my wife, she paid off her master's and everything. So.
And so that's a tough position, because it's like you said, don't hate the player, hate the game. And it's like, it doesn't affect me really, as opposed, because I don't know what they were going to spend that money on anyway. That $400 billion probably wasted on the Defense Department spending or something,
Toilets.
Right. And so again, it doesn't affect me directly, but I get it when people are talking about, hey, I paid off my loans, I didn't get anything for it. I get it when people are saying, look, this is just another example of wasting government funds because it's something that could be spent other places. So what's your thoughts, Wes?
So, I mean, honestly, we're $30 trillion in debt. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean,
it's another 400 billion.
I mean, so the reality is, hey, let's forgive everything. What's the point anymore? I mean, everyone's broke pretty much. Everyone has debt. They said the average person has over $90,000 of debt, which that's not just credit card, that's mortgages and everything. So
Cars and
that's going to be the next thing. And what Biden obviously is doing is, I mean, I'm looking at the wires right now. Biden has a 44% approval rating. Really? What, 10%? What are we talking about? 10% of the public? And that he's got 44%. It's about the midterms mostly, I believe, because it's just, he's buying votes in a sense from his, he's trying to energize his base, and his base are college educated voters for the most part, younger, and he's trying to get them to get out and vote in the midterms and, of course, in the presidential election. That's the way I look at it.
I mean, I agree with that. I do think there is some a part of that is he's trying to buy more voters or making sure they stay with him, gain favor, because he does have a super low approval rating coming into midterms, but just overall. So yeah, I definitely see that too.
And there's kind of a recession impact as well, because I mean, I think it's $10,000, isn't it? They're going to forgive up to 10,000 of your debt, supposedly.
20,000 if you have a certain kind of loan and you make under 125,000 per year.
Right. So where does that money go? That goes back into the economy. It boosts the economy, and it hopefully gets us out of a recession, which, that's the whole other issue next year.
But I mean, the hope is they spend more money because they're not in as much debt, but really they don't pay a lot per month for a student loan, right? Like, to pay these loans back, a lot of them are paying $50, $100 a month on some of these loans. And so they might save a little bit of that, and hopefully they put it back. But I guess ideally, if they feel like they have less debt, maybe they do go buy extra stuff, finance some TVs or cars or whatever they want to buy. That's definitely helpful in that sense.
The problem is how can you do that when you have nothing in stock?
Yeah, right. And everything's like 10 times more expensive than
it should be. I mean, our refrigerator was going out, and it's 2 months for a refrigerator right now.
Right. Yeah. And then it's like 3 times the price as what it should cost.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's ridiculous.
And then I guess the last thing on that is, should people be upset about that they didn't get this student loan forgiveness for people who already paid off their student loans? Is that valid? I see that's the most common thing I've seen is a lot of people.
People being responsible,
right?
Paying off their debts and their obligations, like the most explosive has to do. Yeah. I could see people being a little miffed about that, but again, at the end of the day, I think I was just waiting for when it was going to happen. I thought about it a couple of years ago. I was like, Democrats, they want votes. They want people to go out and vote, and that's the best way to do it. Give them, forgive debt, give them free stuff, and that's kind of what I see.
They've definitely been talking about it for a few years at least.
Yeah, it was going to happen. So.
Yeah, I know 2020 it really came up big, but they've been talking about it for a while.
Because I think that was on his campaign promises, wasn't it? One of his things he said.
Yeah, he definitely talked that up quite a bit. And I don't know that campaign promises mean anything, but yeah, it's something that he was running and saying for sure. Because who actually does their campaign promises?
Right.
So if you guys are voting, let's say this came to a vote for us, and they're like, hey, you get to decide yes or no. Would you vote yes or no to broad student loan forgiveness?
Sure, why not? Honestly,
I'd vote yes.
Honestly, the way we've spent our money over the last 40 years is absolutely ridiculous in the first place. You know what? Why not?
Why not, right?
I would vote for it, but I want a kickback.
Yeah. Is there a lobbyist somewhere? Is there a lobbyist who's got a check for me somewhere?
Can I get an IOU? Can I get IOU?
Well, they're getting ready to do a $27 trillion spending audit on the Defense Department. So this little student loan forgiveness is not that big of a deal, right? Where'd you guys spend that $27 trillion? We need to see it. And
What kind of audit is that? How long is that going to take? 20 years?
No, it's going to be sealed.
Right.
Yeah.
We won't know. They'll be like, oh, we found it all. Don't worry. So that's it. I thought that was an interesting thing that happened recently. And since we're talking college football, just get your guys' thoughts on that. But so let's jump into first topic, college football. Just in the rankings alone, right? How do you get, when you guys look at the top 25 as it stands, the coaches and the AP, I mean, it's pretty close, right? I mean, they got most of the teams close to the same, or, a couple flip-flop. Let's just kind of break it down top 10 first, right? Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Utah, Michigan, Oklahoma, Baylor. So top 4 going to the bowl games right now, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, seems about right. I don't really see, it's kind of a huge drop off after that.
Isn't it? Like, doesn't it seem like there's to me, I thought the exact same thing. As I looked at those top 4, I'm like, wow, there's not a whole lot after that.
Notre Dame's ranked 5th. Are you kidding me?
Not for long.
Dude,
So
either way, yeah, because what's going to
They
happen?
play Ohio State.
What's going to happen is Notre Dame's going to go to Ohio State,
Right.
and Ohio State's not going to let. They're not only not going to let what happened last year to Oregon. When they kind of laid an egg against Oregon, they're going to prove a point probably and just completely annihilate Notre Dame on national television. Like, I think they're just going to come out, and Ohio State's just got so much firepower.
Yeah.
That and Notre Dame's going to have they can't decide between 2 quarterbacks because they're both fairly average, and so yeah, 5th in the. I mean, it's that's funny.
So pretty much in agreement on that top 4, right? So we all kind of agree that that's probably the best top 4 teams. I thought 5 through 15 was pretty interesting here as you start to look at some of these teams. It's like, let's talk Oregon, of course, because we got Oregon listeners and we're in Oregon, right? Like, does Oregon, is that a good ranking for Oregon in that 11-12 spot? Do they fit there?
Well, right now, I'm going to wait after 1 week, though.
Well, because they got to go to Georgia.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna hurt them, but I don't think it hurts you as bad when you lose to top ranked defending national champion, right?
Is it in Georgia or is it in like
It's in
Atlanta?
Georgia. Yeah.
Atlanta? Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think it hurts them that much if they lose that game, because who's going to win that game?
Yeah, it's a road game. Yeah.
In Georgia against probably one of the best teams in the country.
Now, what happens though if they just get annihilated though?
Right. That hurts more. I think the score will affect it for sure. How they play, if they score a lot too, because I think everybody's going to see, well, Oregon has to score points to win games.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can score against Georgia, they can score against a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, like, are they a top 10 team or are they in that lower top 25? What do you guys think about Oregon this year?
I think it's about right, just based on, I mean, they've had a couple good recruiting years. They've shored up both, the line play. They might be able to compete a little bit better with SEC schools in Georgia to a certain extent, but still, I think they're going to have a hard time going down to Georgia and dealing with the crowd, the atmosphere. Talk about a hot take. I would love to go to that game. I was telling a couple of friends, I just want to go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Right.
I mean, it's just sick stadium. I was like, going down there, I've never been to Atlanta. It's like, I hear it's pretty fun down there. So it's like, I certainly would not wear my Oregon gear. 'Cause I don't want to die.
Right. You
So,
might not come back.
Yeah, I might not come back. Like, come here, boy. Like, no, I'm good. But I think it's about right. I mean, Oregon's talented. They just choke, of course, like they do. And
they lost a lot,
Yeah.
over last season as far as
they did.
offensive power.
They lost some firepower, but they reloaded pretty well as far as like, defensively, they're better, I believe. They did lose, one of the best players in the country, but
Yeah, that's a tough loss, right?
yeah, it's a tough one. But I think they'll hold their own against Georgia for a bit. I just think Georgia lost a lot, and Georgia
Yeah.
lost a lot of players. But of course, they're just. I mean, they've been top 3 in recruiting the last 4 years, and so
That's the thing is that they do like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. They're bringing in good
Yeah.
players. It doesn't matter they lose 10 to the NFL, right? They
Yeah.
got the players, but you're right in the sense that Oregon has had better recruiting in the last few years. So I think that may show for them this year, specifically when they lose some people. So I think that I don't know personally. I don't think they're a top 10 team personally. They do have a chance with their schedule to have a good year, especially if they play well against Georgia, even if they lose that game, if they beat, the teams they should beat based on rankings and whatnot, and then they go and win that Utah game at the end, like they have a chance to have a pretty good year and finish probably top 10.
isn't it funny though, like the way college works versus the pros? I mean, what happens when the best team, someone wins the Super Bowl? What kind of draft position do they have? What, they got the last pick in the draft, right?
Right.
College is like the opposite. It's like
You win the
Alabama every
championship.
year. It's like, hey, you guys, you've been the best for 10 years. Hey, now you get all the best players again. So
Well,
you
isn't that?
the best for the next 10 years.
I think that's
Is
more
that fair?
I think it is more fair than when you win the Super Bowl, you get punished, right? It's like, I mean, I like the idea of you have a good year. It does good things for your program.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of right in a backward sense, I guess. Like, I mean, yes, this is, you should be rewarded for success, but if one team dominates for 10 years and every time like Notre Dame goes to play them in a playoff game, which they should never be allowed to play in another playoff game because they only score like 3 points and they're in Alabama scores or Georgia scores like 34. I mean, they just rolled. But at the same point, what do you expect? It's like us playing like Gresham. Like, hey, put in the third wave of players. We're just gonna mow over you people too. So it's just like, it's kind of funny. It's just like you think about it.
I get it, and that's what makes college football tough to build, and to not have these dominant teams because of, you want to go play for the good teams, the teams that are sending people to the NFL, the teams that are winning national championships, playing in the spotlight. What do you think about that, Derek? How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm trying to remember, when was the last time it wasn't Alabama, Georgia, or Clemson to win a national championship?
Yeah, it's been like, what, 11 years?
Right.
Georgia, not so much.
Oh, LSU. Right, but still an SEC team.
Yeah,
And Clemson's like the only SEC team not to win in the last like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Or 11 years, something like that. So it's Clemson.
Ohio's Florida State, right?
Yeah, but that was a long time ago, right? So look at the championships.
Jameis wasn't more than 10 years ago.
Jameis, 2014. Jameis was 2014-15. So they won the national championship in 2014 or 13 season.
13.
Right.
So almost 10 years.
Yeah, so almost 10. So yeah, pretty close to 10 years. Jesus, Jameson's been out that long. That's crazy.
That's kind of crazy.
I just remember like Jameson Mariota draft.
Yeah.
It was like it just happened.
And
that didn't just happen.
Oh,
Now,
talk
now
about
they're like
bizarre.
veteran quarterbacks. So yeah, I mean, but is that fair though, Derek? So do you think that there should be like, how would you even do that? How would you regulate that?
Well, yeah. Well, just to go off that, since 2006, okay, only Florida State once, Ohio State once, and Clemson twice, and then the rest has been SEC schools
SEC schools, yeah.
since
I was-
2006.
I was looking at that the other day, and I actually forgot. I was thinking Clemson was SEC for a second, and then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute. There's a few more in there," because it was bad when I thought Clemson. I was looking at Clemson, going, "Yeah, this is all SEC." Then I was like, "Wait a minute." But then you still look at that. You're like, "Still, it's only 4 years out of 16 years."
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's nuts, But so how do you even regulate that though? How do you stop the SEC teams from getting these great recruits and winning all the time? Like,
Well, they're kind of imploding and destroying the whole college football system. So now we're going to have no real SEC. We're going to have
20
a bunch of stuff.
teams.
Hey, we got the Big 10.
Right.
Yeah.
They're gonna have another
The big, excuse me, the Big 20. Is that what's
Big
gonna be?
20.
Big 25, the big.
But then, you get USC and UCLA. SEC goes, we'll take Oklahoma. We'll take Texas.
Yeah.
You know what? I was gonna say one thing, but I'll say something about USC and UCLA. Honestly, yeah, I kind of went to talk to some people about something, and they told me, hey, if you're gonna go to this coaching gig, right, don't wear your U of O golf shirt, right? And I'm like, why? What's the point? We live in Oregon. I mean, this is a golf shirt. I don't really care, And I thought about it. I go, this is exactly why we have problems in the Pac-12, is because there's no Pac-12 unity, right? Washington hates Oregon, Oregon State, and it's a thing. I mean, Washington State hates Washington, and it's just like back and forth. And I know that's natural to have rivals, and you hate your rival. Auburn hates Alabama. It's the same thing, right? But it kind of hurt the Pac-12 here because, it's like if you're not going to stick together as a West Coast team, because there's always been a West Coast, East Coast thing, or a Big Ten, Pac-12 thing, and that should mean something to a school like USC or UCLA.
Yeah, you're talking.
You shouldn't want to go play in the Big Ten.
Right.
You've been competing against the Big Ten in the Rose Bowl for how many years, and all of a sudden you're like, well, you know what? We're going to get more money. So
yeah,
like,
I mean, that's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and they get in the Big Ten, they're in a more competitive venues and arenas, and the teams they're getting more high profile games, they're getting better recruits,
Well, and it comes down to this. I'm going to use a little profanity here, but the Pac-12 needed to kiss USC's ass,
right?
Because USC is the money. They're the ones bringing in the money. Even if you look at the TV deal, I think it was USC got like 40% of it. So like when they have to redo the Pac-12 TV deal now, it's like so much less money because USC's not in it.
Yeah,
I mean, Oregon has Nike money, but they don't have like USC's national brand.
Exactly. Well, and they're like historically national brand, like they go back a long way. And Oregon, they have an old team, but they don't have old like history like USC does.
And they haven't won anything.
Right. Which also doesn't help
they won a couple Rose Bowls.
That doesn't matter, Wes.
They beat Wisconsin twice.
Yeah.
So
you gotta have a national championship.
They've lost almost every big game against the SEC though.
Yeah.
So
I mean, LeBron lost a lot of finals.
Yeah, but he won 4.
He made it to the finals at least.
You gotta win.
U of O can't even do that.
You gotta win. That's how you get your greatness. So, talking about though, or the Pac-12 falling apart, right? It's going to this Big 10, Big 20, whatever you're going to call it. Now you have the big SEC. Does that even out some of this recruiting? Does that help this process as far as when you're talking about the same schools getting all the best recruits and winning every year? Does that help that process at all?
I don't think so. Wes, you're the one that knows this because you've been down south. It's a different animal down there. They treat football so much differently than everywhere else. And so I think it's like, why did Nick Saban's like got a contract through 2030 now?
Well, yeah, the dude's 70 and he's like, I feel like I'm 50. Like he's
Yeah.
gonna coach forever.
He's got
He
like,
ain't going anywhere.
yeah, I mean, and they treat him like a god.
He gets a ridiculous amount of pay too.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a culture thing. And, I said this comparing the Pac, of course, the SEC's a lot better. They have, they're big and fast. The Pac-12's fast, but these guys are bigger and they're just as fast. And that's just the way it is down there. And so you're going to have better football. You have more physical football. I mean, it's going to be NFL Farm League football versus, college football in a sense. That's the way I look at SEC. But that's what people want to see. They want to see the NFL in a college in college kids. So, but it is also culture because honestly, if you're a kid, you're going to UCLA. There's a lot of distractions. I said this for years. Like there's a lot to do in UCLA in Beverly Hills. You're going to school in Beverly Hills. I think I'll go to the beach today. Maybe it's 5 miles away, or I might just go up to Big Bear and go skiing, and or go surfing. You just don't have that down in Louisiana and Mississippi. It's just a different type of culture. So
It's
lack
hard.
of options.
It's hard for, I would say, athletes to focus in that California environment for sure. I do think that's a downfall for them because there's a lot of other things too, with unpolitically correct things that we could talk about that distract them in
The
California.
Playboy Mansion's just like down the street. Hey, come over, Matt Leinart, Reggie, come over to the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, just think about when they were good. It was like Hollywood, that's right there. It's like, oh, we're gonna take you.
Yeah, so that's a tough one. Looking at here's one question I had, because I think Texas has a pretty good team, right? They're not even in the top 25 for the AP. The coaches, they only got in there because they got a number one vote, right? Somebody voted them this number one team, so they had to put them in the top.
Texas was Sarkeesian.
But I mean, how does Texas not get in the top 25? Texas has got a good team. They play a really tough schedule, right? They got Alabama, they got Baylor, they got like the Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. I mean, if Texas has a good record, they could be in the playoffs. If they only lose
but when is
top 10 games?
Texas hasn't been good forever.
They got a good young class coming up. They got great running game.
Yeah, but they've said that for the last 2 or 3 years. They've had good young class, and then they've just
the running back's a Heisman Trophy candidate. I mean, that guy's pretty good. I mean,
and he's splitting time. Like if he gets more time this year, he probably wins the Heisman.
Yeah, I watched him last year. I was like, he's pretty good. Yeah, but Johnson's still, right? Who cares? I mean, nobody cares about that. I mean, it's all about throwing the football.
No, yeah.
So who's your quarterback? And Arch isn't coming in until.
Well, he's got to win. They got to win games,
Yeah, and so it's all about getting the ball out and having a quarterback that can. I mean, they're going to have one, but that's the big question mark.
I can't believe they're letting. I can't believe he wanted the red shirt.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's just about letting the team develop a little bit more.
That's true. Maybe he just doesn't want to get killed.
Right.
So, I mean, it's college. I mean, they're not going to let him get killed. No. Everything's going to be tailored around him getting the ball. Okay, you have offensive line problems. What do? You get the ball out.
Their offensive line's not bad. Like, that's why their running back does so well. I mean, he's not like a superstar running back in my
Pretty
opinion,
good.
but he's really good.
I've
But,
seen worse running backs. He's pretty darn good, dude.
right. Yeah, but I've seen a lot better running backs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, is he? Yeah.
He's no Ricky Williams.
Yeah, he's not Ricky Williams, but that way.
So, but yeah, I was just surprised. I didn't know if you guys noticed that Texas wasn't on that AP. top
Oh, wait a
25.
minute. I'm looking at the other votes. Yeah,
Yeah, their second other votes are 164.
164. Yeah, that's right.
Well, the one that crazy to me, and I can't, is Tennessee is the first
State.
another. Tennessee sucks. Let's get that out of the way. They haven't been good.
Well, I
No,
hear
no, no,
they're not. I hear they're not that
They have Florida receiving 14 votes, and they have Tennessee receiving 180.
bad. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
What
I
about Penn State? Penn State's not even in the top 25. That's
Right,
kind of
right.
Right.
They're always in the top 25.
Are you surprised?
And they're bringing
Florida-
back Clifford. Clifford's coming back.
Right.
I mean, that's a top 20. Okay, BYU's top 25. I guess.
I'm surprised Penn State and Florida aren't on there. Honestly,
I mean,
uh,
Pitt's better than Penn State. I don't know about that.
Cincinnati. I mean, yeah, they had a
Cincinnati
good year
lost
last year,
everybody.
but yeah, Reader's
Wake
gone,
Forest
they're-
is better than Penn State. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's maybe being, the Florida glasses here, but they got, I think, one of the most dynamic quarterbacks. And
Oh, definitely.
and he's full reins now. So I'm looking here at Miami's at 16. That's cool. You got Cristobal. What did he really do for Oregon? He can recruit well, but he can't coach.
Exactly. The thing is he can recruit, but he's not really a coach. He's not really, a raw coach either. I mean, of course, there's coaches that can't coach, but they know how to motivate. And he doesn't seem like a very motivating guy overall. It's just his ability to sit in a living room and talk to kids and get them to come to school, which Miami already had some decent players. So he's going in there with other people's players. But their quarterback is, they're talking Van Dyke. They're talking about him being a first round pick. He's got an arm. They got some weapons. So
What did he do with another first round pick?
What?
He made Herbert look like trash.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, and Herbert, he had a weird college career of development.
Yeah.
Though. He developed differently than a lot of people. A lot of people, have ups and downs. Like his was just a constant snowball of getting better and better and better and better.
He was gaining confidence. The thing about Herbert is like it's like swingers. He's money. He just doesn't know it.
Yeah.
That was at Oregon. He goes. He. What's is funny about Herbert is he goes to Eugene. He goes to high school there, right? He doesn't leave home to go and play down in USC. He just stays at home because it's probably where he feels more comfortable. He's trying to get comfortable in being in the spotlight. LA to me was kind of a reach for him, but he's just gonna have to. It's just like one of those things. He did win a Rose Bowl, again against Wisconsin, but I think
But he didn't put up the numbers.
he honestly he underachieved at Oregon, and Cristobal didn't help because Cristobal's a dude that does not instill confidence in a program. So that's why it's a head scratcher with the whole Miami thing. But what other options did Miami really have? They're not the same program. They're not the U anymore. I don't care. It's not the same type of program. They're just like everybody else now. Just like Notre Dame's not, they're not the best program in the country. Everybody's pretty much the same except Alabama. And Clemson, I'm not even going to buy into Clemson yet because Clemson had such a bad year last year. They got a lot to prove this year. What do they rank? What, 3?
4.
Oh, yeah, 3 or 4.
We'll see about that. They got a lot to prove.
Yeah, but
So
they're in the ACC though.
exactly.
Oh, geez, that's right.
Yeah.
Because Florida State's not Florida State anymore. Just like, Florida's not Florida.
Well, look, they got
Miami's
North
not Miami.
Carolina State. North Carolina State at
They're at number
13.
13.
Are you kidding me?
I know. I saw that. I was like, in Wake Forest. I mean, isn't it funny? Wake Forest. We're gonna have one of those years where the ACC has Wake Forest in the Orange Bowl.
That's what I'm saying.
Like that's gonna
Are
bring
you telling
fans
me?
to Miami. Like, hey, let's go watch Wake Forest. Like,
You're telling me that Kentucky, Ole Miss, Wake Forest, Arkansas, Pitt, Miami, NC State are better than Florida?
well, that's the whole thing.
I don't know. Yeah, I think Florida definitely should be up there. I agree. And I do agree that even like teams like Cincinnati sneaking in at 23 is crazy to me.
They lost a lot.
Exactly. So yeah, there's a lot, and this is preseason rankings, obviously. So we'll see how things play out. But if you had to pick a team, so first of all, who you think's is Alabama by far the best team in college football right now? Are there any questions?
Ohio State, but I would still go Alabama.
West,
Yeah, I mean,
in agreement.
Alabama, of course, by default, because I mean they just have the best players, top to bottom, and basically from first to third string. Of course, they're the best team in the country. But I think Ohio State has so much firepower that if they got in a shootout, in which that's a real possibility in the playoff, they meet up. Alabama's going to have their hands full of Stroud and those receivers. I mean, it's funny, Ohio State goes to the Rose Bowl, right? And their receivers like, and this is another thing that's annoying about college football. It's like, you know what? I don't want to play in that Rose Bowl thing. I think I'm just gonna sit there. I mean, it's like they're playing in the humanitarian bowl here. It's like it's the freaking Rose Bowl. It's like we're gonna go. We're just gonna sit this one out. And it's like, what about your teammates, man? You sit there and you go out. It's like you're gonna go play. I know it's not the national championship, but
Well,
but
then
let me back up a little bit on that because, hey, their livelihoods are at stake. I get it. They get hurt, they're screwed. I get it. But still, it's a freaking like. Imagine if like, what, Steve? I'm playing at Oregon. I'm a walk on. I'm gonna go play. I can make it the pros. I think I'll just sit out that Rose Bowl thing. That's a tough one. I mean, it's tough for us to swallow.
Well, if you look at it, Alabama's receivers.
Oh yeah,
Menchie and Williams both get hurt in playoff games.
Exactly, and that's the problem.
I mean, Menchie he fell a lot, and now he's out for the year. But
I forgot to tell you my solution to all this. I completely. And this is
what
they should do. They should draft these kids out of high school. So you know what? We'll give you I mean, they're going to pay everybody anyways. They're already paying people.
So like
ridiculous stuff. So we'll draft them out of high school. We'll draft them out of high school, right? They have to go to 2 years of school, right? But they get their money. They get, they get a contract to a certain extent. Then we wouldn't have to worry about all this stuff. Then they would play in the Rose Bowl, right?
College football draft. So if you win the national championship, that means you draft last.
No, you get to. I mean, you could stagger it. Maybe you get to pick 15, right?
So then you're going to be saying like we're going to be back to the NFL having like 100 rounds.
That means Appalachian State's going to be that best team, man.
Right.
It's going to be like college basketball where the team that has all the seniors is going to be the best.
Yeah.
So wrap up college talk a second. So I want to jump in a little bit NFL. Just is there a team that's not in the top 5 or maybe they are, but a team that you think could be a potential playoff team, whether they're in the top 25 now or not, or is there a team that you could pick to say, hey, this team's going to do better than people think? I think they could go to a playoff game. Is there any teams out there that you guys say, keep an eye on, sleeper teams?
I got one.
Like a Michigan,
I blew
an Arkansas.
I like USC because they got Caleb Williams. Okay.
Yeah. USC.
And I think he could have a Heisman Trophy. He has the potential to have a Heisman Trophy type of year just because they got firepower. They got Lincoln Riley now. They know each other. Lincoln's gonna space out. He's gonna play his space ball, and Caleb is just so fast. Like he gets in the open field, forget about it. Like good luck catching that dude. And so I think there's potential there for. I think the Pac-12 is okay. I think Utah's good, but I think USC can beat them in a shootout. And Oregon, I don't think is as good as they're not as good as USC at this point. As far as like quarterback play, USC can make the playoff if they kind of run the table and
they could if they beat because they play Utah, right? They're ranked top 15 right now. They win that Utah game, they get in. Speaking of Utah leads with Florida, Derek. So Florida, Utah, week 1. I mean, Utah is one of those teams that could sneak in there. They win the Florida game. They win the USC game. They beat Oregon late in the year. They win the Pac-12.
Well, it won't happen. They're not going to beat Florida.
They did it last year and they blew it in the Rose Bowl. Right. So that's kind of, it's kind of like Michigan. Like, they could do it again this year now.
I think USC, I like USC as kind of a dark horse, has a good year, gets into the playoffs. I can see that.
Well, I could see that, but knowing USC and the way they operate, I know it's Lincoln Riley, but it's his first year. Right. You got to give him a year or two, I think, and to bring in everything. There's a lot of transfers coming in. I mean, I forgot how many transfers that he has.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people in the transfer portal.
They want to head that way. So maybe it's next year, right? That's the year.
Yeah.
Derek, you got a sleeper dark horse teams people to watch out for?
I mean, not for the national championship. There, it's going to be
just to make the playoffs.
The only thing I could say is there might be a third team from the SEC that sneaks in that, beats Georgia or, comes out of nowhere out of that, like how Georgia did last year or LSU did a few years ago.
Like a Texas A&M or Arkansas.
Yeah. Those might be the two. I have to see. I guess it all depends on how Florida does against Utah. Because that's going to be the big thing, because Utah's a big defense team.
Right. Very good defense.
And so if Florida can come out and put a whooping on them, then I have more confidence in them. But because they have A&M and they have all those other teams. So
I know we haven't talked at all about A&M, and there's so much hype around A&M because of the whole Jimbo Fisher, and I'm watching Saban's talking right now. So the Jimbo Fisher thing, like it's just there's that back and forth with them. I mean, they're ranked 6, but again, they're not Alabama and Mike. They're good, but
what is Brian Kelly going to do? Right? He's at LSU, right?
LSU, yeah. That's kind of weird.
Yeah,
that's weird. Like
they're not up there. You never know. LSU always has good teams. They always got good players.
Didn't he go on stage and try to pull the whole Southern accent thing? Is that what
he's done a lot of embarrassing things.
It's like, I'm Burt Reynolds. Like, really?
Yeah, he did some dancing and stuff, and he's been doing some embarrassing stuff.
That's just. I mean, can you actually just can you take the guy seriously? He comes out with a fake accent. What is he trying to be, Bear Bryant?
Look at the last successful LSU coach was Ed Orgeron, and he talked like this. I'm from.
But that's how he talks. That's I mean, it's funny because that's how he talks. I mean,
I don't really understand him. Like
I know
he says.
It's like he has to have
that. From the Southern Bayou.
Right. I think looking at some of those schedules, things like that, I would say Oklahoma State. If they win that Baylor game, they win the Oklahoma game. That could be a team that could end up in the playoffs. I don't know how well they'll do, but from a mid rank right now, I think if they win a couple of those big games, I would say Oklahoma State is a team you could put in that top 4.
And another conference that the Big 12 is, they're going to have some problems too, because I mean you're losing 2 of your best teams.
Yeah.
Actually, you're losing your 2 best teams.
You're losing all.
You already lost Nebraska, which I think is ridiculous. So they're in the Big 10 because they're not even doing well. It's just stupid.
That's just a program on, they're in the biggest rebuild for the last 25 years that
But didn't we talk about how none of this really matters anyways, because you're going to have a West, Central, and East anyways in these super conferences. I mean, that's what they're going to do.
They have to,
and that does make sense.
Traveling. They can't be traveling like that all the time.
And it would be nice, if they do something like that, then you can start having Colorado, Nebraska again, or what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's just have 2 big conferences for all of college football. And then split it into 20 divisions.
No, let's be like golf, and we'll just have one league,
right?
And they can go play, and then they'll have another league, and then we could do a Super Bowl for college and get rid of all the bowl games, right?
Well, that'll never happen. There's too much money in the bowls, but
it's just
so college. I think interesting. Although I see it's pretty unbalanced this year. That's my personal thought on college this year. But you never know with college football. That's the great thing. College football can always surprise you. That's why it's fun to watch. And I do have a hard time seeing with Bryce Young coming back, the way he's playing, winning another Heisman. Alabama probably winning the championship after a little disappointment the last year. They're like, no way. You guys can't have it 2 years in a row. We'll let you have 1 year. We'll take it the next year. We'll play some off there. So.
I'm telling you, if Jamison Williams did not get hurt, they would have won that game.
Oh, I know. Absolutely. Yeah. And probably again, another, so that's a tough one. But should be fun. Starts with some really good games. Got Notre Dame, Ohio State. You got Oregon, Georgia. You got Florida, Utah, a couple other good games in there. So I think Saturday is kind of like the kickoff week. So there's not a lot of good games in that, but starting Thursday next week through Sunday or through Saturday, there's a lot of good games and a ton of games. So I think over the next, from a week from today, we're going to be hip steep in college football, and it's going to be awesome.
Well, what I love about college football is your season can be over after week 1.
Right. Well, I mean, Notre Dame, they get blown out by Ohio State. They drop down real quick, Oregon, they get blown out by Georgia, they don't have much chance of
they just got to run the you lose if you're gonna lose, everyone says it, you're gonna lose.
Right. You do
lose early.
Right.
Lose in the first 3 weeks and then run the table.
It's
and
definitely better than late. Yeah. So let's jump into NFL here. And what I wanted to just talk about each division, what do you see right now in that division? So also we were talking about the best quarterback in each division. So I want to start with that, and I'll bring that up. So the meme we're talking about, and this doesn't mean this is right, but the AFC, so we got Deshaun Watson in the
North,
right? And so that was they say Deshaun Watson's the best quarterback in the North. So is Deshaun Watson the best quarterback in the North? But who are the best teams in the North, right? Right now, how do you see the North?
It's for me with Deshaun Watson, it's like he hasn't played in forever. So how can you say he's the best quarterback?
700 days. He has not played in 700 days. And you could tell.
You could
tell. You watch him preseason, you can tell.
He's super rusty. You see his training camp videos a lot. Yeah, he's missing a lot of throws. So obviously we all in agreement he's not the best quarterback in the North. Who's the best quarterback, and what do the teams look like right now? How's it break down?
Mr. Burrow is the best quarterback in that division because he did go to the Super Bowl, and in my opinion, he should have freaking won the Super Bowl. It's so ridiculous. And I'm not saying he still has, I think he has more to prove. I think, and he's not quite there yet, as good as he can be, but he does not lack confidence, to put it that way.
Right.
And so Deshaun Watson, of course, as a dynamic quarterback, but if it's you get in the playoffs, I just like Burrow's ability to get the ball where it needs to get versus Deshaun just running.
I mean, statistically, up until Deshaun Watson didn't play, he had great stats, right? Especially for where he is at in his career time wise. Statistically, he was great up to that point. I think the rust factor is probably the biggest factor here. He hasn't played enough consistently, in the last few years to say he's the best quarterback. I also think it's Joe Burrow. If I was going to take any quarterback, not talking fantasy, I'm just talking about the best quarterback for actual football game, I'll take Burrow out of that division. And I'll also take Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati had, like, a lot of people kind of doubt Cincinnati was a fluke. Like, I think they just got better, to be honest with you. Like, you look at who they added, and each person got a little older because they had a lot of young guys. Like, so I still think Cincinnati is heads up.
It's this year or bust, because next year that's when they got to pay a lot of guys, and they're going to lose. They're going to lose some core. Of course, they're going to figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
But it's better to do it this year.
Yeah.
I can't believe neither of you have been brought up. A guy that has won the MVP award for as a quarterback,
Right.
Lamar Jackson.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Well, here, Joe Burrow is amazing. I just think he's still young. But does Lamar Jackson have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and all these guys? He's got one tight end. And last year they had how many people hurt? Baltimore is the team that's going to win that division. They have
I think they
the most talent. They almost made the playoffs with missing like half their team.
Yeah.
They were like on their sixth string running back last year.
That's why I think Bateman's going to really help Lamar and, open up some things, get the ball down the field. It's just the consistency. I think just being under center at some point, he's not going to be able to run the way he's running. He's going to have to sit in the pocket, and he's going to have to distribute the football like someone like a Tom Brady, a Joe Burrow. That's
they need to get back. They don't have an identity like they did a few years back. Like, they need to gain back a little bit of identity, because so many injuries, so many different players in and out. You can't just go out and throw your hands up in the air and be like, Lamar, carry us to the promised land. Like,
and
they need some identity.
He missed 5 games last year too.
Right. Well, but their defense was solid. Like, they did a lot of good things, and their division wasn't very good. I mean, come on, they played that division was pretty poor. I think
the Steelers made the playoffs.
Helped the Bengals kind of come up. Yeah, the Steelers were great. What a good team they were. So I think Cincinnati, but I do think Baltimore. I think they battle. I think that's a good. I don't see anything wrong with Baltimore being up there as well. How about the East?
And I just think, I
Yeah.
just think they have the better coach too.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to argue when you're talking Harbaugh, right? I mean, it's I think one of the best coaches in years over the last 20 years.
Right.
I think Harbaugh's up there. So jump into the East. Josh Allen is who they got as the best quarterback. Buffalo's whoever has the best team. Any arguments there? Any thoughts on the East?
Come on, Wes. You want to say Zach Wilson, don't you?
No, Joe Flacco. It's gonna be Flacco now.
Zach. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I like the Jets they had a good draft. Everyone knows they had a good draft, but again, it's the Jets. They haven't won a Super Bowl since Super Bowl III, which that was a long time ago. So, but watching Buffalo, I'm still impressed with Buffalo. I know they're playing the Broncos, but I mean, they're deep. They got talent. They got a lot of receivers. It's just like their line play, their defensive line has gotten bigger in the middle. And Von Miller's there. You're shoring up linebackers. I think they win that division easily. I don't think the Dolphins, and I don't even think the Patriots can make the playoffs. I just think that's not going to work out. What's going on up there? There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of question marks. The receiver, outside, getting the ball downfield to those receivers. I think Hunter Henry is going to have a great year because, Mac Jones is going to be checking to him a lot of the year because he's going to have to.
Well, sorry. They had a joint practice with the Raiders, and from everyone that was reporting, it was like the Raiders manhandled them.
Right. And the Patriots were stealing their place signs.
Yeah, because they know McDaniels.
Because they know McDaniels.
That's why the funny thing is then the next day they started having music played. So you couldn't hear. I feel like, I think Mac Jones is going to regress. I think he's going to do a sophomore slump. It's all the Bills all day. I can see the Dolphins because they've been close the last few years.
Yeah, they have talent.
And now they got Tyreek Hill.
Right.
I like McDaniel as a coach. So, but I don't think they're world beaters. They might sneak in as 6 or 7 seed.
Wild card, right.
Yeah.
I actually think they have better chance of wild card than the Patriots do. I know some people, I've seen some picks of Patriots being a wild card or the 7th seed. I think the Dolphins might own that 7th seed over the Patriots.
Yeah, I think it was ridiculous that Mac Jones made the top 100 players.
I can't even talk about that.
What?
Yeah.
I hear about that. That's
insane.
Everybody has to root for the guy. But...
So we're in agreement, I think, with like most people are. The Bills have the best quarterback. They have the best team. There's some good things, young things happening in the AFC East, but not for a while, I don't think, for any of those teams. And the Patriots, you never know, like the way they draft, they could be horrible in the next few years because they're just not drafting young talent. South, Derek, this is a popular one for Derek. Ryan Tannehill is the best quarterback.
He's not even the best quarterback on his team. I think Malik Wallace is better than him already.
Right.
And then it's like another one. It's like
Tannehill.
You have a former MVP in that league,
right?
And you're going to put Tannehill ahead of Matt Ryan.
But I know you like that Mullins. Who's that kid in Texans? What's his name? It's not Mullins. Mullins is the Raiders kid.
Oh, Davis Mills.
Davis Mills. I know you like him, but is he better than Ryan
Tannehill? Yeah, he's better than Tannehill.
Okay,
yeah. But you got to give Tannehill some credit. He does have a pretty cool touchdown celebration. If you have your own thing, you got it good, right? And he does that little like layup. And he does that. I'm like, is this a Baker Mayfield thing? Like, have you arrived? You're there. Like, it's just.
So who is are you saying Matt Ryan's the best quarterback in the South?
Yeah.
By default.
Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence will be, but we have to see him. He had so much dysfunction, and it was just so horrible last year for him. I need to see him with a real NFL coach.
Right. So who wins the South then? Who's the best team, or what's the South breakdown?
I like the Colts still overall, as long as Jonathan
Taylor
stays healthy. Jonathan Taylor stays healthy.
They got
I hate offense,
good defense.
I'm still gonna go with the Titans. I just feel like Vrabel's a really good coach.
Yeah,
well, and they were the number 1 seed last year, right? Without Henry half the year, and now Henry's back healthy. They did lose AJ Brown, but
what did Tannehill do in the playoffs?
He did Tannehill-like things.
But again, Vrabel's a good coach, and he's gonna try to, how would you say it?
Minimize his mistakes.
Minimize his deficiencies. That's what the good coaches do. They minimize. And Tannehill can, he could get them to the playoffs. I just don't. I think he lacks the confidence to do anything in the playoffs.
He's got
ability. It's just
he's good at handing the ball off.
Yeah.
I just feel it's going to be one of those where you going to play it safe, and then you can make the playoffs and play it safe because of Tannehill, or do you go with bring in Malik Willis and maybe see if he can take off, because they're not going to get out of the first round of the playoffs with Tannehill.
Yeah. And I think the Colts, I think they did a real good thing with Matt Ryan, at least for short term, because they need a leader, a veteran, a guy they can count on to not make mistakes, like Carson Wentz was doing last year, just killing them.
Oh, there we go. Let's talk about Okay, Tannehill. There's Tannehill. There's Carson Wentz, and I mean, Tannehill's not like Jamarcus. He's not Jamarcus Russell here. I mean, he's okay. He's all right. I mean, I'm not going to trash the guy, but I just think that,
Wentz had one good year.
Jacksonville and the Texans, do they have a chance in this division at all?
No.
Yeah, I think Colts have a good shot. I think Titans, depending on how it shakes down for them. I think if the Titans get out of there early and win some games, they probably win the division. If they have a rough start, it might hurt them a little.
Yeah. I could say this, so I don't think the Texans and the Jags are going to be pushovers, though.
No, they're getting better.
Texas. I've been watching the Texans beat up on the Niners. They beat, it's like, but then what are we talking about there?
Yeah, it was still preseason, but still. Yeah.
Come on, Lovey
17-0, man. Where's Trey Lance? He's 7 for 11, 49 yards. Really?
You never know. Once you get Lovey,
they got the best receiver in that division.
Right,
Texans do.
I mean,
come on, Shanahan. Really? Open up the offense.
I guess when you think about it.
He only had 49 yards.
I mean, there is nobody else.
Dude, I saw Lance throw a 50-yard, just a laser in practice, and throws and gets a touchdown. He's got 49 yards on 7 passes.
Oh, they're not gonna. It's preseason, man.
And he's balding. He's already balding. Look at him. I didn't know that.
AFC, so the West, they got Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback.
Oh,
That's a tough one, right? You got Herbert, you got Russell Wilson, you got Derek Carr, you got Patrick Mahomes. It's hard to, I guess, to
you can't really go against Mahomes. I mean,
you want to, just because Herbert, but again, Herbert,
I hate Mahomes. Yes,
yeah. Mahomes won a playoff game. I mean, Herbert can't even get to the playoffs,
and he did win that Super Bowl thing. He did the Super Bowl. He lost one. That was ridiculous, but
he does have some of the best stats ever. In the first
and he's been to 4 straight AFC championships.
I mean, I think that's hard to argue. But as far as his team goes, now I don't think KC is dominating that division anymore. So this is a tough division. I think we've talked about this before. How does this division shake out? I don't even know how to predict that.
Any one of them can win the division.
Right. I agree.
Except the Broncos.
No, I mean, I don't want to.
No.
I think they could win. I think the Broncos.
They can.
Have you seen Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson is working really hard. He looks as good as I've ever seen him in training camp and throwing the ball in his drills. He's coming in. He's focused. And Russell Wilson's not a guy you want focused.
Condoleezza Rice is on the sideline.
Good. Yeah.
Got that going on.
Sounds like a Mexican dish.
Losing Patrick really hurt him though, right? So not having Patrick's gonna hurt. That hurt. They still got good receivers. They got Sutton and Judy, so they'll be all right.
They have a Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon.
So
I just look at it too. It's like, okay, so you're looking at these quarterbacks. Okay, you got 3 on the top 10, 1 borderline, top 15 could be, I put Carr, who knows? It's a pendulum with him. The other 3, top 10. But look at the pass rushers in that division.
Yeah,
it is insane.
Yeah, all around.
I mean, the Broncos got Randy Gregory now, and So the Chargers go off and get Mac to go with Bosa. So the Raiders are like, okay, we'll bring in Chandler Jones
and Crosby already. You know?
Yeah.
And so defense is going to be solid, offense will be tough. I think this is a coin flip division. I mean, if you have to pick a winner, you know, man, I don't even know. I think I'm probably going to say the Chargers, just because I think they're coming into their own a little bit. They added a lot of good players. They retained the people they needed to retain.
I don't trust their coach.
Yeah, so I'm going with Chargers.
Yeah,
I think Chargers from the division.
I need more time to think about it because I could think the Chargers, I think the Chargers have the most talent. I just don't trust their coach. And the Chargers always seem to be very talented. The Chiefs, they lost their playmaker on offense and Tyreek Hill, and their playmaker on defense and Mathau. And their defense had already sucked. And I don't think they got much better at all. The Raiders' offensive line is pretty horrible. So that's going to be an issue. And then
their secondary is not great either.
Well, their secondary is actually improved, though. It's a lot better than last year. I mean, last year you had Desmond Trufant.
They went from horrible to better to a little better.
Well, I mean, they got Rock Sin.
Right.
And they got Trayvon Mullins coming back. I mean, Trayvon Mullen played like 2 games last year. That was their best corner. Yeah, you had Desmond Trufant, who was just like bagging groceries somewhere. He was good like 10 years ago.
Right.
He was starting. So they got Morig, who's now in his second year. They got Nate Hobbs, who's a really good slot corner. I'm not as worried about their defense this year as last year. It's the offensive line. And then, yeah, Denver's another one, just like last year. They were like the sexy pick. Like everyone was picking Denver to win the division. Then they go off and they play the 3 easiest teams like in the NFL, and everyone thinks that their defense is amazing. And then they come down to earth because they weren't that great.
I mean, Drew Lock, come on. That's just.
Yeah, but it wasn't even just Drew Lock. It was just their defense wasn't as good as because they weren't playing the Jaguars and the Panthers without Christian McCaffrey. And you know what I mean? It wasn't like you're playing garbage teams. So yeah, it's a toss up. They all have a lot of strengths and they all have weaknesses. So
who you going, Wes? Who do you like? You pick the Raiders?
Well, I'm gonna
be positive.
I'm gonna pick the Raiders because of Josh McDaniels. I think Adams is just going to open up so much more of the field for Waller and slots. So
yeah, Raiders got to stay healthy.
And I think when it comes to running game, I think White's going to surprise people. He's just fast, and he gets the ball in his hands, and he could be electric. And Jacobs is going to do what he needs to do because honestly, he's got a lot of proof. But I think it's going to be a war in that division. I think at the end of the day, I'm going to take the Raiders just because Kansas City. I mean, you lose Tyreek Hill, that's going to hurt them. And just watching him preseason, it's just like, of course it's Mahomes, but he's been doing it for 4 straight years. I just don't see him even winning the division this year. And Herbert, I think there's a lot of pressure on him. I think he's going to be great, but not this year. And Russell Wilson, of course, Russell Wilson is a Super Bowl champion, and he's a good quarterback. And they got a pretty good team. I hope it's not the Broncos because I'll be mad. I don't like the Broncos at all. The only thing I ever liked about the Broncos was the Orange Crush defense.
Right.
And watching it in Super Bowl 12 because that defense, Tom Jackson,
that was
and John Elway. That's it.
I always liked Elway, but I've never been a huge Broncos fan. So NFC North, Aaron Rodgers, best quarterback. Green Bay's owned the division for a while, so I guess since it's my division, I'll kick this off. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in that division. I think, eventually, the Bears might be good again someday, but it's not this year or next year or for a while. I think Minnesota has a chance to make some waves this year, just because I really think that Justin Jefferson and Thielen is a deadly combination. I think they complement each other. Jefferson's that really good deep threat, and Thielen's that route runner. I think they go together really well. And Kirk Cousins isn't as bad as everybody makes him out to be. He has good seasons every year. He has a good touchdown to interception ratio. He always throws for 3,500 to 4,000 yards. And so Minnesota has a chance to win that division, especially with Green Bay on this downhill, what looks like might be a downhill slide. But you never know, because they're playing in a crappy division. They could go 13-3 again. I mean, it's really hard with them to count them out of that when they have such a poor division. Justin Fields could surprise some people this year. The Bears, I'm actually, and again, it's preseason, but I'm excited to see them have energy again, running to the ball. They look so lethargic for the last few years, and I think that was one of the problems I had with Nagy. Is he wasn't hard on them. He didn't force them to play to the ball, to be be in it every play, and to really be part of the game. And I think even as doing that. So.
He didn't make him do conditioning.
Yeah, I mean, he could be Coach Keck's brother. So he could be Coach Keck's brother, but I think Eberflus is changing that culture, and I think that's a good thing.
I hope so, because this is the NFL, dude.
Yeah,
it's kind of a requirement.
That's an issue.
Be in shape,
That's
you can pay millions of dollars to be in shape. It's not high school. I mean, honestly, I think the Bears look better.
But again, they're not winning the division. I think it's Green Bay, Minnesota. I would like to see Minnesota win it, just because obviously there's nobody I hate more than Green Bay. But I think Minnesota does have a legit chance, though. It's not just like that. I don't want Green Bay to win. I think Minnesota has a legit chance. I think Detroit's going to be a lot better this year. They're gonna win more games. They're not going to be an easy win. And
I like their coach.
Yeah. And so that division, I think, still just comes out of those two, and there's no question Aaron Rodgers there.
Right. Yeah, I'm just going to go Green Bay. There's not much.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Wes, you have anything different in the North?
Actually, it's pretty much, I mean, there's nothing really I could really see that's different from what you've stated. I do think the Vikings do have potential to make some noise, just because, like you said, Justin Jefferson is
Cook. Cook.
Well, that's Dalvin Cook. As long as he stays healthy,
right?
He's been having problems staying healthy, but he's got wheels. Their backup, they got some weapons. I just think Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and he's gonna figure it out, and he's gonna distribute the ball the way it needs to be distributed, and they're gonna probably win that division. I just don't think, Super Bowl caliber. But again, you just don't know.
Well, they have the far superior defense than all those other teams.
Yeah. Their defense is much better. So again, I think Minnesota has to put it together offensively to win that division, where Green Bay can rely on their defense and just play mediocre offense, and still win. So NFC East, they got Dak Prescott as the best quarterback. And I guess as you look through that,
by default, I guess.
By default, right? I mean, Jalen Hurts is considered a pretty good quarterback, but I think he's still too young at this point. Doesn't have enough. He's not going to have enough attempts. You got Carson Wentz coming in, the $30 million man, and then you got Daniel Jones. Actually, is better than people think. I don't think Daniel Jones gets enough credit. He's got good feet. He's mobile, and he's not terrible statistically.
He just fumbles the ball a little bit too much, but I mean that's just something that
Being young, he'll get better at that.
Yeah, he does play for the Giants, and I think they're dysfunctional
under pressure a lot.
And yeah, it's like he got such a bad rep getting picked 6th in the draft. I was like, who's Daniel Jones? Like people are like, why did they do that? So I mean, he gets a bad rep, but I think he could throw the football too. He's got a pretty good arm, and he makes pretty good decisions overall, but that's just a tough one. I mean, the obvious choice there is the Cowboys are going to choke, but they'll probably win the division. I don't really have much faith in Hurts at this point, but
I mean, a lot of people are picking Philadelphia. That's in Vegas, they're the most money recently added for them to have the best division in the NFL, which is crazy to me. Best record in the NFL.
That's
Philadelphia
crazy.
Eagles, because it's good odds, but a lot of people are putting a lot of money on it.
They do have a lot of loyal fans though that are like, you know what, they go out and they support their team by betting on them.
I think I think Washington could win the division. I think the only team I don't think could win that division is the Giants.
Right.
I think Eagles, Cowboys, or Washington could win.
Yeah.
If I'm forced to pick one right now, I would say the Eagles.
Well, here's another thing is, Dak Prescott did get on, was it HBO a couple days ago, and said that he feels optimistic about the season.
Well, optimistic.
Dude, who are these kids now? Would any court? I mean, would Marino say that? I feel pretty good about this year. It's like, really? It's freaking Marino, dude. What do you think Marino's gonna do?
I'm gonna go out and throw for 6,000 yards, and we're gonna win the
season. Right. I got Duper, I got Clayton, and then I got a terrible defense and no running game, and I'm gonna throw for like 5,000 yards in 1985. Really?
So Cowboys. Wes, you got Cowboys. I think the Eagles probably win it. I think it's hard to say Prescott's not the best quarterback in that division at this point. Derek, what do you got?
I'm going to go Eagles. And the whole thing is I'm thinking of because Dak Prescott had so many weapons. Right. He had like one of the best offensive lines you've ever seen. So this year he's not going to have that.
No, not as good. It's not bad.
Well, they just lost.
Still decent.
They just lost Smith.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not Bears and Raiders status.
Well, yeah. Now, I mean, who knows though? Because they just lost what's his name, Tyrion Smith.
Yeah,
he might be out for the season.
Yeah,
they're not as good as they used to be. They lost Cooper. They have CeeDee Lamb, but Gallup's still hurt.
Right. They got Schultz, good tight end. They got CeeDee Lamb. I think they still have weapons, I guess.
Right. The Eagles, you have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders. They're pretty stacked on offense.
Yeah.
And then they went, and they drafted Davis. So they Fletcher Cox still. Their defensive line is stacked.
But defense-wise, Cowboys are good defense too, though.
Well, they lost Randy Gregory though.
Yeah.
They're a feast or famine defense because Micah Parsons is going to get his.
Right.
But Trayvon Diggs gave up so many. He had a lot of interceptions. That's great, but he gave up 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
So, AJ Brown would just tear him apart. I mean, with double moves or stuff. I mean, so yeah, I'm going Eagles. I think the Cowboys take a step back. McCarthy gets fired. They hire Sean Payton. Drew Brees comes out of retirement.
Yeah. Does Mike McCarthy even talk? I mean, that's like during the game, you watch him on the sidelines, he's sitting there just like, you're not a figurehead or anything. I mean, it's just, it does not seem like he is wanted there, and he doesn't seem like he fits in either.
He's
So
like
I
George
just love
Bush.
seeing that.
he's a George Bush presidency. He's just doing nothing. Everybody else is doing everything.
And then now you got to think about the greatness of Aaron Rodgers, because he got a Super Bowl with McCarthy as coach, as the head coach, right? I mean,
well, yeah, they had a good teams though too. They were running some really good teams. So South, Tom Brady is the best quarterback. So you got
no other teams in that division.
Yeah.
What about Baker Mayfield? He's South.
I don't think there's any question. Tom Brady's the best quarterback in the division. I don't think there's any question that Tampa wins the division.
And tell me this, okay? We've talked about how blessed a life Tom Brady has. Has he had like the easiest road ever? He's in the AFC East with a bunch of garbage teams, right?
Right.
Because the Jets and the Dolphins and the Bills were garbage for years.
Right.
So he just walks through it. So now it's like, okay, I'm going to go to the NFC North. They've got, or NFC South. They've got Drew Brees there. His arm is falling off. He's not the same person. Now
Matt Ryan's gone.
Matt Ryan's gone. Now you're dealing with Marcus Mariota, Baker Mayfield, and Jameis Winston. 3 pretty much first round busts. Right?
That's what he got.
I mean, yeah.
Winston and Marcus Mariota, though, same division now, 1 and 2 pick.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
That's awesome.
And Mariota might not even win the job. They really
Right.
like Desmond Ritter.
The Ritter's playing well. So
Ritter's
you never
all right.
know.
If I was the Falcons, I would just go Mariota for 1 year and then bring Ritter in. But
I'd go Mariota maybe first 5-6 games.
yeah,
Just so I could get him a little bit more acclimated and then let him take over, because you're not going to have a good season.
no.
You lose your first, you go like 1 and 5, 2 and 6 or something like that. Then you put Ritter in, you still get a high draft pick, and he gets his experience.
And then Ridley comes back, and then
And New Orleans, I think, has a chance to be decent. Carolina, I think, is going to be awful. I think, so I mean, easy Tampa wins the division. I don't see any other competition there. You guys see anything different? No.
I think the Saints could be all right, and maybe they caused Tampa problems in the first place. I mean, they haven't played New Orleans very well except in the playoffs, but I mean, I give them a little bit of a chance, I think, but it really does come down to James Winston. He needs to go out there, and it's not like the dude doesn't have an arm.
Yeah.
I mean, he used to throw the ball. The way he used to throw the ball in college, it just doesn't seem like it's the same in the pros. The way he delivers it and the confidence that he has. But they do have weapons. I think Olave is going to really help them.
Jameson had good stats. He threw for a lot of yards. I think he threw for 5,000 yards almost, right? 1 year.
30 interceptions, right?
30
Yeah,
interceptions.
that was the issue, So the issue was,
And then he leaves, and Tom Brady wins a Super Bowl with that team.
right. But the issue, I think, but they weren't very good. They got a lot better over those years that Jameson was, as he came on as a rookie, they were just starting to turn the corner in their development. So, West, AFC or NFC West, Matt Stafford. I mean, Super Bowl champion quarterback coming back into that division. They're saying he's the best quarterback. You look at Seattle. You got Seattle. You got Arizona. You got the Rams.
49ers.
And 49ers. So I think quarterback-wise, Stafford's got to be the best quarterback in that division. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl. He had one of his better years. Seattle lost a lot with Russell Wilson. I think they're in trouble playing. They have a 2 quarterback. When you have two quarterbacks, that means you don't have a number one.
Well, they're 2 bad quarterbacks too. It's not even like you got 2 good quarterbacks. Like you don't even have 2 average quarterbacks. You have 2 bad quarterbacks.
Geno Smith is
bad quarterbacks. 2 bad.
Not very good, I guess.
He's
but
pretty bad.
He reminds me a little bit of Stroud, just the way, because he can play to a certain extent, but Geno Smith just makes poor decisions.
But he's just getting older.
Decision making has not been quality.
He's been around for a long time now. You could see it. He puts an ice pack on every time he's done playing. And Drew Lock is just not good. I think Seattle's overall team is decent. They're going to struggle at quarterback. I don't think they'll be as bad as everybody thinks, but I think they're going to be pretty bad overall. Arizona is an interesting one. I think Kyler Murray is a good enough quarterback. I see that comparison of Lamar Jackson. I don't think they're in the same league. I think Lamar is way better to me than Kyler Murray. Murray's definitely got the same feet. He moves around well. He's got a sneaky good arm, I guess, for his size. Not a big guy. He's a baseball player, so he can definitely sling it.
I think he's got a pretty good arm.
It hurts the DeAndre Hopkins being out for 6 weeks,
right.
though.
So, yeah, that's not gonna help
That's the problem. Yeah, that's gonna hurt him because he relies. He's always looking for Hopkins, and that's gonna hurt him.
Well,
Yeah,
Christian
AJ
Kirk-
Green's going to have to step up.
Christian
Yeah.
Kirk was a good safety net for him too. That's where he got all his yards, was in that underneath, like running away, finding Christian Kirk, open there. So I think that hurts them a little bit. I'm not sold on their running game. So I don't think Arizona has much chance of beating the Rams for that division. I think 49ers are the only team that can win that division over the Rams.
49ers have had one of the most talented teams for the last 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
but they've just not stayed healthy.
Right. I mean, they were almost there. They were on the cusp last year.
Yeah.
Right at the Super Bowl.
I guess it all depends on what Trey Lance can do,
Right.
because they put all their eggs into Trey Lance.
That's exactly what they're talking about right now. 5 first downs, 49ers, 0 with Trey Lance on the field.
Right. Yeah, but he
Really?
put 7 passes. Come on.
Wow.
You'll
He's getting
find
fat.
out. You'll find out how well he does.
He's running for his life. Yeah.
I think
No.
the big thing here with the 49ers is, can
Mm.
they stay healthy, and can Trey Lance manage the game within Shanahan's offense?
Right.
I
I think this is going to be a big year for Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle can have a good year. I think Samuel, Debo will do his thing. I think Elijah's more
Mitchell.
Yeah, he's a great running back pick. If you're a fantasy football pick, he's going to get a lot of carries. I think he'll do well. So I think the 49ers have a chance of the division, but I'll still take the Rams. I don't know that anybody can beat the Rams there.
Yeah. I mean, the Rams should win the division. I just don't think Murray's. Murray's is so dynamic. Him throwing the ball on the run, just also. I mean, he can get it there. I just think the question marks around his, as far
His
as like,
dedication, can he stop playing video games?
yeah, I mean, what
What if he's playing Madden and he's being able to read the cover of the
he's playing
defense?
Call of Duty.
he's practicing. It's like, hey,
He's playing
hold
Call
on.
of Duty, dude.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see? Did you see his stats on Call of Duty? They actually analyzed his stats when Call of Duty has like double experience points, and when they have like special event weekends or a new game comes out, his stats are always worse that weekend. And they actually had a whole breakdown of his stats based on Call of Duty stuff.
Hilarious.
And then the Cardinals leaked it out just because they wanted to like shame him.
That is pretty bad.
So, I mean, I think Arizona has a chance. I think San Francisco has a chance, but I think it's going to be hard to beat the Rams coming off the Super Bowl.
And they restocked. I
They
mean,
did. Allen Robinson's a great addition for them.
and you know what? Who knows? They still can get Beckham back.
Right. But I don't even think they need him at this point. I think Robinson fills that part better than Beckham did.
Yeah.
And I think it's great for Cooper Kupp to have a big guy like that who can break up a lot of defense. So
You have Van Jefferson over the top, and you got
and then Cam Akers is going to have a good year, and so that's the breakdown. Next week, we're going to be giving our playoff predictions. So who's going to finish what seeds, who's going to win all this stuff. It's good to kind of hear, our thoughts on the division, quarterbacks, things like that. Talk college football. Any final thoughts? Wrap up here. Football season starting.
Getting excited.
Can't wait. It's that time of year. It's like Christmas. It's better than Christmas.
Did you see the Christmas schedule this year?
No.
NFL is taking over.
Taking over
So
Christmas.
like they're like, you know what? Screw you, NBA. We're gonna have 3 games on
Right.
Christmas Day.
Well, because now they know nobody goes to movies anymore. Remember how going to the
Right.
movies used to be a big thing on Christmas? Now it's too expensive and they're all shut down. So
They're like, we're just gonna stream stuff. Well, we can watch football instead.
let's just watch football all day. So
Is one of the games going to be on Prime on Christmas?
well, that's
Probably.
got to, right? Because they got 3.
They're gonna have Prime deals, so you can get Prime on Christmas to watch the Prime game.
And prime time is on after that.
Let me see what the Christmas games are.
Just fun.
The Packers play the Dolphins. The Broncos play the Rams,
Oh wow,
and the Buccaneers play the Cardinals.
that's all 3 good games.
Yeah,
Whoa.
and that's
Radio.
yeah, Fox for the Dolphins, Packers, Nickelodeon, CBS for the Broncos, Rams, and NBC for the Buccaneers, Cardinals. So no Amazon.
Everybody gets to watch them.
There we go.
Nice.
And then you can watch the stupid Nickelodeon one with the slime time and all that stuff.
The
Right.
kids actually even watch that stuff.
So
like,
weird. Well, that's just weird how they do that.
yeah, it's kind of strange.
And they have it like a normal Sunday. It's first game's at 10, then a 1:30, and then 5:20.
I know what I'm doing for Christmas.
Sorry, Caitlin.
Yeah, we're watching football. All right. Well, I know it was a little extra long one. That was good though to get through all of that college stuff, all the pro stuff. Get ready for next week, starting football. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening in Anchor, Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, on all that. Love to see that engagement. Love to see some more YouTube engagement. So if you are listening on YouTube, we're getting more listeners and subscribers. So if you're listening, at least subscribe for us. So more
That's
people
right.
are listening than they're subscribing. So please,
And then leave us some
subscribe if you're listening.
comments. We'd like to hear what you want to hear.
Yeah, and I know we've been talking a lot of football lately, but we try to throw in some current events. I know we haven't had as many as recently, but in the months past, there was a lot more going on. Now it seems like there's a lot less to talk about.
Football is current events.
And
Football is
is the new current event. But any topics, yeah, love to hear them. Thanks for jumping on. We'll see you guys next time.